You have entered the realm of dead air. For the next 2 hours, you will be transported into the world of the strange and the supernatural. You might not feel the need to cleanse your laptops or mobile devices afterwards. But it might not be a bad idea.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. That was weird feedback just then. You know, that was weird. Thank you guys for joining us on our Sunday night show. It is 8 p.m. Eastern, and for the next 2 hours, we'll be engaging with you, our viewers and listeners, in the topics surrounding the paranormal. Great guests, and we thank you so much for joining us as always. We are simulcast with KGRADB.com. Ken's going to hit all the little banners because looking for that and then speaking at the same time, next thing you know, I'm pulling up nudes of myself. So KGRADB.com. Also on Twitter. What is that? What's Global Radio Live? Did I miss something?
Oh, yeah. That's where their KGRA is going out.
I missed the meeting.
On X now.
Bill Forte is slipping. Okay, anyway, you can also, if you're watching or listening to us on KGRA, come over to YouTube, YouTube/ Dead Air Nation to see us. Facebook, you can also catch us on Dead Air Full Spectrum on Facebook.com. Our Twitter handle, which is Dead_Spectrum. And good golly, Miss Molly, you guys got to check it out. Our Patreon account, Dead Air Paranormal, which is exploding right now. And what we'd like to see explode also is those of you hitting that subscribe button right here on the show. Also, the reminder bell for upcoming content and the thumbs up. Certainly important for us also because, again, it's all about the algorithm. We all say it. None of us knows what it means other than the fact that the more you guys hit that thumbs up, the more is a chance for other people to get the suggestion to watch us here on Dead Air. With me, as always, Mr. Ken DaCosta up in the great state of Rhode Island, which I understand has had a bit of a reprieve. There's warmer weather, at least for the moment up there.
The worm has turned. It's time to get out in the backyard and do stuff. Speaking of Patreon, we also want to give a little bit of thanks to our subscribers, 15 in all, and this is only in the last 2 weeks, maybe. So you recognize some of those names on there. Thank you so much for your support. We are having an absolute blast on there. Tomorrow night is our Monday town hall at 8 p.m., where our patrons come on, talk to us about whatever. We'll probably go over a little bit of evidence from the Rise Up trip to Maine tomorrow night. So you'll be getting your studio link, all the membership. And it's been a nice chat with everybody, an opportunity to meet these folks face to face and have them converse with each other. And tomorrow we'll be introducing something new to the Patreon channel, and stay tuned for that because George and I get to vent a little bit. Actually, we are going to be doing reaction videos. We've talked about this for a while, of a lot of videos that are out on TikTok and out on social media, and we're going to give you our take on that. Is it inconclusive? Is it live? Is it Memorex? Is it just a hoax? Or is it something we should pay attention to? So we'll be giving you our thoughts on that, and we'll be starting those tomorrow.
Yeah, I think for those of you who have not joined the Patreon account yet, again, if you want to put the link up there, I suggest you do. I could say our viewers for that, was it $3 a month? Less than
$3 a month.
Half the price of a cup of coffee. In 2 months, you could get a Starbucks with no frills. However, those who are watching are getting probably more content than your main streaming channels right now. We're firing on all cylinders, putting so much more stuff. Ken's put a bunch more video evidence that are out there, and I did a full-length feature film on the collective consciousness. I was just talking to our second-hour guest, Mikey Thompson, about it. And episode 3 of Skeletons in George's Closet, which has been, I don't know what you guys, if you've gotten to check it out yet. Jason Webster, I know you said you were perusing. It's the most intense one so far with this. And I used the Frank's box this time, Ken. Didn't even tell you about that. So
I don't know. It should be a surprise to me too.
Yeah, pretty intense stuff, and we enjoy doing it, and look forward to many of you more joining us. Whether again you are listening to us or you watch us regularly here on YouTube on our channel, or you're listening with kgradb.com, go to Patreon /Dead Air Paranormal. Make sure you guys do check it out. Speaking of checking it out, we are loaded with great talent tonight. We are looking at some great topics with great guests. Now, if you guys remember a few weeks back, Ken and I had 2 wonderful individuals that were on with us, Sharon Coyle and Dan Class. So we're talking Rolling Hills Asylum, Ken, and Hinsdale House. And there seems to be a trend forming with the property owners, managers, directors, with regards to those teams that are going out there and thinking it's going to be a free-for-all. Take a look at this.
Hey everybody, it's Cindie with Sweet Springs Sanitarium. I'm just coming on here as a friendly reminder to make sure that you are not coming to our location to film fake paranormal evidence or activity or entertainment for your YouTube channel, faking things. Stop throwing around the word demonic. It's ridiculous. We don't appreciate it, and it's not what we're here for. That's not why we allow people to come and do paranormal investigations and paranormal events. Okay? So with that being said, letting you know up front, we will call you out if you're doing it, and we will make sure that everyone, all of our other locations that we're friends with, will also know. Okay? If you want entertainment with fake clickbait stuff and, fake paranormal activity and demonic, you need to go somewhere else. We do not welcome that at our location. Okay, thanks, bye.
I have an incredible idea for our first guest tonight, Ken.
I'm scared.
Would you like to do the introductions? Go ahead and give her introduction, sir.
Certainly. Cindie Harper is our guest tonight. She's an author and director of paranormal research of Sweet Springs Resort Park Foundation and the Sweet Springs Sanitarium. We're going to be talking a lot about that tonight. Cindie has a lot of years of experience in paranormal research and maintains an active role within the paranormal community by managing Sweet Springs Sanitarium, that's a mouthful, and continuing to document paranormal experience with a few good friends she has met along the way. She's a proud member of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Hats off to you, Cindie. And currently serves as an honorary regent of the Woodburn chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. She is a full-time behavioral health therapist and became a Reiki Master Teacher in 2002 while living in Hawaii. What a great place to get in touch with your spiritual side. And actively continues to pursue knowledge on metaphysics and spiritual development. She's known for her straight shooting approach, no kidding, for exploring the unknown, and for her knowledge of Appalachian folklore. That sounds like a great guest to talk to tonight, and we are very happy to have her. Please welcome, for the first time to Dead Air, Cindie Harper.
Hey guys.
Hello, Cindie. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You dressed warmly. You look like you're outside in front of the sanitarium.
Yes, it's so cold.
I am so thrilled that I connected with you, and it was all starting from that TikTok. That particular TikTok perked up my ears. You know how the system works, and well,
yeah,
for how much longer it does work. But to scroll through, and I went, stop, and we had just as I said, we had just had Sharon Coyle from Rolling Hills Asylum and Daniel Klaus from Hinsdale House, and there's this growing movement in a sense that thank God it's starting to get to the point in time where people are saying enough is enough. And I just want to ask this one question, because I know we want to get into the history of the property and your history also, but what was it that prompted you to make that announcement, that statement?
So I came across a few videos, and they happened to be from, Sweet Springs. And apparently, I was not aware of those videos. And so when I came across, I thought, "What is this? I'm tired of this." And then I started clicking, and different videos, different locations, different teams. It seemed to be the same kind of teams, but I just noticed like this trend of like clickbait, demon, 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 demonic, demonic, demonic. And I'm like, "Oh, I mean, come on, come on. This is getting old. It's not what we're here for."
It's got to be a tipping point for
Mhm.
property owners, when it's like, as you and I spoke of at length, is the situation with the Conjuring House and how they're dispelling all the myths that were welcomed in by the motion picture. And, now it's just like, look, you can go in there, and so long as you show respect, you're going to get respect back and handle it that way. But
Mhm.
and they're kids, yes, they're over 18 years old. To me, they're kids, and they're emulating what they see their parents do, meaning the parents of social media, the TV shows. There's even one that does the opening investigation history, the investigation, and then the debrief, they call it at the end. And I'm like, it's just, they're just falling suit into what they have learned. And it's time for them to get re-educated, such in the way that home property owners such as yourself are doing right now. So I applaud you for that. But I know we want to backtrack first before we get into all of that. And Ken, I want to turn it over to you, because I know that you want to get into a lot of the origins of this wonderful lady.
I do. Thank you very much. Cindy, again, welcome to Dead Air. It's a pleasure to have you on. And I already love you for that statement that you made because,
Thank you.
well, we know how it is. There's a lot of performative art going on out there, and a lot of it just is that. These people don't want the demonic. Trust me when I'm telling you. You know,
Absolutely. If you've ever
they,
had, yes, yes,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but by the same
no,
token, fear sells. We all know that. We've been in this game long enough. We know how it works. But nonetheless, you don't want to have any place, particularly that building behind you, just become simply the spooky house down the road, not with the historical background of it. Um, so everybody knows what we're talking about. A little overview of Sweet Springs. And this is a little bit older shot. Cindy, can you maybe tell us? I mean, I guess we're looking at the 20s here by the vehicles in front, but any idea when this was taken or?
So we believe that was roughly like the 1920s to 1930s, somewhere around
Okay,
that, that time period. So as you can see, the front of the building looks very similar as to what it is in that picture.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. And his little plaque that as you're driving in, settled by James Moss, and entertaining a lot of presidents there, weren't they?
Uh, Yes, absolutely. Starting with George Washington, which is awesome.
Really? How come
Yeah.
George didn't get any mention on that? Jeez, you
Well,
know.
I don't know. That's a good question because he was definitely there. I have some newspaper articles from the 1700s, stating that he was there and, what he was doing, like he was on his vacation. Um,
Yeah,
and I can share those with you if you ever wanted to see those. I think I do have some posted on the website.
yeah.
But yeah, this building that you see that's, behind me in the video here, of course, this was not, built while George Washington was there. This was built in the 1830s. So there was another building that was in, the same property, which was built in the 1700s. And it looks like the old school colonial, like the log, the log cabin style, which was considered a resort back in the day.
Right.
To us, that would be rough living. But the building original that George Washington visited was actually like almost like a log cabin style, but it
Right.
was on the same
Well,
the same property, same location.
he's going to get you back for that because he won't haunt your place like he does apparently 20,000 other places throughout the country. Anywhere
I'm
he
kind of glad because I think he was pretty cool.
anywhere he stopped for lunch or used the bathroom, apparently he's decided to spend eternity there. But I want you to tell us a little bit about your investment in historical research, and how you tie that into your interest in the paranormal. Are these things that go hand in glove to you?
Yes. So absolutely, I my whole interest started when I was a kid. My dad was into historical locations and history, especially military history. So when I was a kid, I was toted around a lot to different locations, and always hearing about history, and I was fascinated by it because some of the places are really cool, and they're old and they're just fascinating. Like the stories behind a lot of the places, that we can visit are just fascinating. But what I really found fascinating the most would be like when there was like spooky tales of ghosts and things like that. I was always, drawn to that just because it was cool when I was a kid. So I was like, oh, there's a ghost here. Cool. I hope I see it. And of course, it started out when I was a kid and then the interest just kept growing and growing and growing. But as I got older, I noticed like I was more drawn to different places. So, certain places in particular. So, Sweet
Right.
Springs is one of those places. When I moved back from Hawaii in 2004, I had a huge, you know, I was on a rock forever for like 7 years.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I really want to just drive around and look at these old places and these cool places. So I started driving around the back roads. I was with one of my friends and we came across Sweet Springs. And I said, whoa, 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 stop the truck, let's look. And he's like, yeah, you can't go in there. It's closed. It's not open to the public. I was like, man. So then, we took some pictures. I looked around just on the outside, and then I tried to call everyone I could find, like the historical society, all these different places to see if I could get permission to be on the property. And eventually I did find someone who could get me permission to be on the property. And so that's when it just all started from there for this location. For other
Right.
locations, just in general, I just love history.
Yeah. Are you one of these people that, because I know you're an investigator as well,
Mhm.
um, do you like to know everything there is to know about a place before you go there? Because some people like it just to be organic. They don't want to know too much. They don't want to have any suggestion in their minds. I find myself in the former. I like to know everything. Maybe you're a little different, or maybe your love of history just won't allow that.
So so I'm kinda like you. I do like to know as much as I possibly can just
Yeah.
because it fascinates me. I'm in awe when I can stand in the same place as George Washington or Native Americans. I'm like in awe of just the fact that, so many
Mhm.
people have been in that location or been on the property and they were just, amazing individuals, or maybe they weren't so great individuals. I'm just fascinated with the history of places. So I do like to know as much as I can. Now, when it comes to paranormal, I tend to be, I like to know the basics, so I kind of don't, sometimes I don't want to know everything that's happened
Right.
paranormal wise because I would like to kind of see what I can pick up on and what I can, gather myself. But
Yeah,
I
you
do
don't
find
want
it
to be
helpful.
unduly influenced by.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
so as far as the history, I love, hearing the history part, but when it comes to paranormal experiences, sometimes I do prefer to not know as much. I'd kinda like to go in, have the experience, and then see if it matches with someone else's, or see if anybody else has even had the same experience, or maybe I don't have any experiences. Because I don't know about you, but I've been places where I have absolutely nothing happen. And I'm fine with that too, because historical places are just cool.
A vast majority of the time, but that's where the patient's not for everybody. I know
Right.
you have no problem investigating places on your own. Do you see a distinct advantage in that? Or can you just not find anybody to go with you?
Oh, there's there's plenty of people, sometimes a little too many people. But I tend to like it better on my own because I found myself getting very irritated with, with when there's large groups. When I'm trying to, get now, I don't mind like giving tours and letting people, investigate at Sweet Springs and things like that. But when it comes to me going to a location that I've never been to or that I've only been to once or something, I like to have it as quiet as possible, and it's really hard to do that when you have people that you don't know that well or trust that well. Because I'm very picky on who I trust to go with me. Because
Right.
I don't want fakers. I don't want someone lying about their experiences, and I definitely don't want someone who is going to sit there and chew their gum very loudly and whatever else. Because I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of money on equipment and a lot of time, and
Right.
getting into locations, it's not cheap. So I don't really want to go and waste my time or my money by having someone who, is a drama queen or like someone who's just like chomping their gum.
Or
So I don't
somebody
know.
who's in the other room. If there's anyone here, it's like, good God, they can hear you. You don't have to yell.
Exactly.
You're trying to
Yes.
communicate with them, not wake them, you know?
Right.
Um, okay, now as a Reiki master, how does your explanation into the spirit realm connect with you energetically? Is it are you able to say turn it on, turn it off, block it out? Do you feel anything emotionally or physically? Um, with that connection you have to the spirit realm when you go to these places, or maybe at the sanitarium. How do you navigate all that, Cindie?
So when I was, a newbie and green to a lot of the different types of spirit, the spirit world and different
Mhm.
types of experiences, I was kind of like, I don't know how to shut this off. This is like really creepy and scary and and then I'm like, okay, calm down, take a deep breath, calm down. Let's figure this out. Let's be realistic. Let's just treat it like we're talking to a next door neighbor. I mean, let's just be calm.
Sure.
And so once I started doing that and I felt a little bit more confident, and I started this young. My dad was a minister. So the spirit world's definitely not something new to me. But with energy, I feel energy more than I feel anything else, if that makes any kind of sense. Like I
Sure.
feel when something feels very negative and I feel when it feels positive, and I feel like I'm pretty good at feeling those things. So when
Mhm.
I feel like something negative is near or, in the area, I really try to err on the side of caution and not add to that. So I don't want to go in there and be like, "Oh, listen here," or try to amp it up and make things worse. I try to figure out what it is, figure out what's
Right.
going on. Is it just, sometimes temperature, barometric pressure, all of that, influences how we feel sometimes. And I noticed like there's certain areas at the sanitarium that, you walk in and it literally feels like there's a 10-degree difference.
Hmm.
And sometimes that can be explained, with regular weather and natural things. So I try to pay a lot of attention to that. I try to really like be realistic and, pay attention to those things, especially in the lower level of Sweet Springs. You can feel a huge difference in certain areas. And sometimes it's more prominent than others, and I do believe it's influenced by the weather.
Yeah, you probably saw I when you talked about environmental things, you probably saw me come up out of my chair because that has always been a big thing for me. It's people, just a little tidbit here, folks. If there is a dramatic difference in temperature at floor level and ceiling level, sometimes people can get the feeling they're being touched.
Yes.
So it's not just for the fancy gizmos because our environment affects us. And as soon as you said that, I got really excited there, Cindie. You know, because,
You're like, oh, okay.
I mean, physiologically, we have to pay attention to things like that and how they affect us. So, how is, generally speaking, your relationship with the spirits at the sanitarium? Do you all get along, or do they act up once in a while and you have to put the foot down sometimes? Because, when you spend that much time at a location, you develop a relationship not only with the residents there, but with the building itself. So do you kind of have to play school marm there sometimes, or?
Yes. So I find myself in different roles, it kind of depends on what's going on. But when I first started going there, I noticed there was like a reluctance, to get some responses and some different things, even though I could feel like something wasn't, I wasn't alone.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure what was going on. So I noticed like after a while, it actually I feel like I have a pretty good rapport going on with the spirits there because
Great.
they definitely um kind of joke around with me. Like, I don't know if you have noticed some of the videos I have on YouTube and like on TikTok and, just different, I'll have like little clips of things. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, like, sometimes they are really funny. Like, I had one, I was doing an Estes method and the male kept talking about his dentures. He wanted his dentures. And I mean, it was just really, it was funny. I mean, it's not funny, but I was trying to help him. I'm like, I don't know where your
Sure.
dentures are, and it sounds funny. And I think, some people who like the real serious stuff, they think it's always supposed to be scary and creepy. And well, yeah, that's still kind of creepy. You know what I mean? It's not exactly not creepy, but it's also kind of funny, because I think the spirit that was coming through was, I don't think he was trying to scare me. And I think he legitimately wanted to have his dentures, honestly. I mean, it was just, so I kind of take it as I go. Um, but I know you've probably heard the story that I had talked about before, and I think Project Fear actually put some of it on their program. But I did get pushed down the stairs at one point in time, and that's happened one time and one time only. And I don't know what that was about, but I truly thought that someone, like a real human, broke into the sanitarium because I was alone. I thought they
Right.
broke in and were trying to attack me, like it pushed me down the stairs. But whenever I got to the bottom with all of my equipment everywhere and everything else, there was no footsteps. There was no one to be found. Um, yeah, it just was it was not a g I was terrified. I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. I obviously grabbed as much of my equipment as I could and ran out of there until I could figure out what happened, and there was no one to be found. I mean, no one. There was no one there, and I could feel it. I could still, to this day, I still kinda cringe when I have that feeling because, that feeling when someone pushes you from the behind on your shoulder blades. I was on
Right.
the stairs and I literally thought someone did that, like a human person. That's how strong it was. Now, I don't know if they were trying to warn me. I don't know if they were trying to scare me. I don't know if they were trying to hurt me. I really have no idea what was going on. And I tried and tried to, continue to ask questions, things like that, to see if I could figure out what it was. And I still, to this day, I can't explain it. I have no idea.
Well, a simple tap on the shoulder would have been fine.
Right.
You didn't need
That
a
would have
push.
got my attention.
You have my attention. Yeah, but that's the
Yeah.
thing, Cindy, is that it's the big question we ask, right? When we pass over, do we retain our human characteristics, our memories, I don't know, our sense of humor, everything that made us who we were as living people? And with a population that you had in a place like that, you have all sorts of different type of people who can't take a joke, people who love a joke, and the best thing to do is approach them, as you said, as though you're talking to someone on the street or just meeting someone for the first time, and that's why a lot of questions like, did you die here? And it's like, my God, that's no way to start a conversation. You might want to ask them about their kids or, I mean, the things you typically would do.
Right. I just try to
Yeah.
carry on conversations. I'll just ask things. I'll just say, "What's the year? Can you see me?" Things like that, just to see.
Right. What are the, I mean, it's a massive structure. It really is, and taking a look and picking out a photo tonight to show everybody. It's a massive structure. What are some of the challenges you face with such a large building like Sweet Springs? Because, you have these small museums or different places that are somewhat manageable, but my goodness gracious, how much of the sanitarium is available for investigators? Are there any parts that are off limits? And how do you keep up with all this stuff?
So basically, the entire building, which is 110,000 square feet, is available and open for people. The
Mhm.
only part that is not is in the lower level, and it's a very small area where there are exposed pipes. And so it's not safe, for people to walk around there. But it's literally probably if I had to guess, maybe 1,200 square feet of the whole building. So that's nothing compared to 110,000 square feet.
No
So
kidding.
yeah, there's just one area, and it's only because there's exposed pipes, and you have to kind of step over things, and it's very, very dark. And even with flashlights, it's still really easy to trip and fall. But there's pipes like exposed in the wall, pipes exposed on the floor. It's just a big area it's just not a good we don't feel it's a good place for people to be walking around trying to, get through. So
Sure.
that's the only spot.
Sure. I mean, looking at the building, it looks absolutely immaculate externally. Um, Very well taken care of. Now, is this all privately funded at this point? Who's running the show there? Is this you're managing it obviously, but tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about the infrastructure there.
So we have a foundation,
Hmm.
and the owner, which is Ashby Berkeley, he is, he runs the foundation with many board members. So we have several board members from the community, different aspects, different uh, career paths and whatnot. So that way we can get a really good grasp and have a good team of people who help decide how the money is going to be spent, if we get a grant to help fix the building, if we have any kind of funds coming in, which the paranormal is included, that those are donations, they go straight to the foundation. And
Hmm.
of course those funds are I purposely do not want to have access to those, that way there's no question as to whether I keep money or don't keep money.
Checks and
um,
balances, sure.
right. So, we have a responsible team of people who, are responsible for making sure that the funds are being used properly and what they're being used for.
Hmm.
And, it's a pretty good team. It's a pretty good team of people.
Absolutely. I'm going to call on George to get back in here because we've got an hour review. I don't want to deprive him for that. But when you guys are ready, let me know, because you were kind enough to send us a photo I think is going to blow some minds. And we have that loaded and ready to go when that point of the conversation turns to what's going on there. So, Cindie, I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for your time. George.
Okay. Hey, thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you, Ken. Cindie Harper from Sweet Springs
Hey.
Sanitarium going to be with us for another 30 minutes, and we are now going to talk about annoying people. And
This is going to be fun.
this is going to be fun. As you said in the onset, there was something you discovered on social media, and you were not very happy with it. Is there, at this point in time, a game plan? I can only imagine, and I'm going to confess something to you right now. So let me enlarge your picture to see the expression of anger. I've been to
What are you going to do?
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum multiple times. I
Okay.
was never aware of Sweet Springs Sanitarium. Is it just because it's come to light in the last few years that more than before, or what has kind of kept it off the radar up to now?
So, first of all, in my opinion, I do believe that Sweet Springs has been off the radar because it has been in limbo for quite some time, with ownership. So when Ashby got it in 2015, that is when, Ashby is my friend. So of course, he knew I loved the place, and I asked him if I could come in and, investigate and all that. And then we ended up discussing because I really wanted other people to be able to come in and investigate the place because, I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing place. But I do believe that Sweet Springs stayed off the radar because Um, it's very remote. We have no Wi-Fi. There's no cell service in the area. Um, let's face it. Nowadays, people just they just don't like that, right? I mean, I don't. I know that could be just me, but that's one of the things that deters people from coming because they can't do lives, from our place. There's only certain areas that you might have spotty Wi-Fi, and that's pushing it. So, being that the way everyone's so connected all the time, 24/7, they want to be connected. I do believe that that is one of the huge factors that has kept it off of the radar. Not to mention that Monroe County is, a very rural county, and um, it's not a place that people will just drive through and be like, hey, what's that? It's just very remote, and I do believe that that is a lot of the reason why it's not really out there that much. I mean, I'm pretty much the first person that started putting things out on the internet about it because there was just nothing. I told you I had to go to the West Virginia Rare Books, library and look through old school, research. I had to do old school. So, there just was not a lot out there on it. And I do believe part of it is because the ownership was in limbo so often for such a long period of time. And then also just, it's very rural, very rural.
Well, it closed down as a retirement home or for the elderly with 1991, correct?
I believe it was 95
It was
when they had like the
95.
last, yeah.
And then from that point on, just abandoned and kicked around, and nobody knew which way it was going to go. Fast
Yeah.
forward to last year, 2 years ago, Destination Fear came in, and then Dakota and his crew came back under Project Fear. And it's just going to get ridiculous exposure just from that. Have you seen an uptick in reservations since that? Is it something that you
Um,
guys are looking forward to or not?
we really didn't. I didn't notice because most people I got word of mouth. Word of mouth. I have a lot of friends in the community, so a lot of people booked it before anybody else really ever knew about it. Um, I noticed a little bit of an uptick in the amount of people that were interested in coming after Project Fear, but nothing like significant. Like I've kept it pretty booked since 2018 when I started this. So it's been, yeah. I mean, it's definitely helped. They're definitely a wonderful team. Like I told you, they're my friends. Um, I have no, problem with them at all. They were actually very respectful of the property and our rules. I was impressed.
The game plan. Let's talk about that now. On your statement about we're not having it no more, guys. We're not going to be having, everybody running around, jumping, screaming, demon. Some of the properties have already put into motion certain contracts that if you're going to come in there, uh, any footage that you are going to publish are going to be scrutinized by us first, so that you just can't put whatever the hell you please out there for the public to see about our location. Has there put a game plan been put in place at this point in time? Is it in the initial talks? How can you control the out of control?
So here's the cool thing about that. Since I started the investigations, we have a waiver that every single person who comes to our building has to sign, which I could send you that waiver, by the way. I meant to do that. We have a waiver that everyone who comes has to sign. And part of that waiver states that you cannot, come to our location and be saying, rude things about the residents that were there, using their real names without having any proof of information. I mean, I go into the waiver is like 3 pages long, maybe longer. And everybody is supposed to read that and sign it. So the interesting thing about that is some of these teams that have posted this stuff either didn't read the waiver and signed it, or they posted it anyway and didn't care. So I'm not real happy about that, if you know what I'm trying to say here. So we're going to start cracking down. But part of the problem is I need to build a team of people because right now it's just me. It's just me with the paranormal stuff.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I can't monitor all this. I have a full-time job, I have a life. So, and as I told you before too, I'm involved with a lot of other cryptid paranormal stuff. So I'm busy, and I am probably going to try to put together a reputable team of people who can help me monitor this more. Because, I told you about that one video that I just found, and it's been out for 4 months. I had no idea.
Yep. Yep, and yeah, again, the dramatics that are involved with it, the disrespect that are involved with it, and it really is just a free for all for a lot of them that are out there. And here's the sad part is that if you lay down the law and here are the ground rules, and it's not to their liking, they'll just move on another location. It's going to have to eventually come to a point where a lot of the locations start networking. And that's the wonderful thing that it's supposed to be is the internet to be able to say, hey, here's a copy of what we're doing as far as our contracts. You guys might want to consider this also to protect the reputation of this location, the legacy of this location from being villainized and demonized. And unfortunately, there are some out there that don't care. But I know I'm only 30 minutes from St. Augustine. You start pulling that at the St. Augustine Lighthouse, you're going to have a problem big time because you have tourists of all ages that go up to that area. And the last thing you want to hear is there's a demonic infestation and an extremely high lighthouse. So, again, I can't find a way to express how happy I am that people like yourself, Sharon Coyle, Daniel Class are organizing this, getting this all together, and making sure that it doesn't continue to happen. But I wonder at this point, and maybe you agree or disagree, that the way that we are representative on social media, the way that the shows represent this field, is kind of to blame in regards to this also.
Yes, I do agree with you on that. Absolutely. And when you spoke of Daniel, Daniel's one of my friends as well. So we've had this conversation a couple times. So it's nice to network with other location owners and, kind of try to figure out how can we work at this. Adam Kimmel is also my friend. And I don't know if you saw where he did call out a few people.
Yeah, I love Adam. We
Yeah.
go back many years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I've got to find at least a common ground here because there's one thing that I know from watching those videos, because again, I was scrutinizing all of this to see, what is it that they're doing and how are they getting out of hand, which is absolutely evident. But when you go to this place, the activity is constant and through the roof. So how do you balance that when is it all in the mindset? You've been there doing solos for a long time, and I know you're experiencing things that are unexplainable, and we're going to get to this photograph here in just a little bit. But how do you remove the fear factor? How do you remove the demonic ideology for places like this that are so active?
So for me, for myself, I do believe that it is your mindset. I do believe if you go in with fear, with anger, with all of those negative, emotions, I do believe that you'll have an experience more close to, anger, fear, whatnot. That's my opinion. Um, I don't know. I can't speak for other people how they feel or what they think when they go into a place. But some of the videos that I watched, especially that one that we talked about earlier, where I said I just found it. Um, I noticed at the very beginning they started it off ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't even know if they even stepped foot in the building before they even started all that. So I need to go back and start looking into that. But I do believe it is your mindset, and I do believe that if you have an attitude where you're going to go in and find some demons and whatever else, I do believe you'll probably maybe manifest that yourself. I honestly I don't know. I have a lot of theories on that. But I do believe that for me myself, I do think that there can be negative experiences. But sometimes I think those are misunderstood. Like kind of like we talked to, when somebody's not real familiar with paranormal experiences and paranormal activity, sometimes I do think that just not having that knowledge or experience can, you know, change your attitude and change like your view of the experience. I'm not gonna lie and say that I've never been scared in there because I have plenty of times. But I noticed sometimes if I remove myself from it, think about it, calm myself down, and then approach it again, then I'm like, okay, I can figure this out. Like this is not like some, portal to hell or something. I mean, I've seen it and heard it all.
Right, especially as a Reiki healer, you know how vital and how realistic energy is. And you've got to think about some of the people who still reside there as spirits. There's going to be anger, there's going to be fear. And can that kind of be overlaid onto a human being, that energy crossing wires makes somebody feel that anxiety? Absolutely. But they just need to filter it and decipher it a lot better. I'm scared. Guys, I don't know why I'm terrified. It must be a demon. Let's go right to, whatever the worst case scenario is. It's like, look, you went home, you edited, you published what you just did. Obviously, it was not something that severe, but that is to them a way to draw that audience in, because the audience wants to see if you have gotten possessed while you were investigating. It's a sad situation for our field, but it seems like we're slowly coming out from there. That being said, as we bring Ken back onto the screen with us, you have a video that I want explained, or a photograph, because it falls right in that category. If you do not take caution, it's very possible that you're going to take this and run with it in the wrong direction. Would you agree?
Yes.
So, Ken, you want to post that up?
Sure. Just a little background, Cindy. This is in bathroom 3112. You labeled this, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. This is a bizarre one. We'll give you a chance to just kind of digest this a little bit.
True. I mean, who uses a bedpan in a bathtub? That's horrifying.
All right, Cindy, what is give us the background on this, when, where it was taken, and what do you think is going on here?
It's a shadow claw.
I mean, so for lack of a better, description, a lot of people that I sent this to, because I have a lot of skeptical friends, and I sent it to them first because as I was going through my photos, I obviously did not see this when I was taking the photos, because if I did, I would have ran out terrified and probably never went back in for at least a week or two, at least not by myself. So, what happened was I had three college students. They were female, and they had stopped by. I was there by myself, and they had asked if they could tour the building. And this was near Halloween time, so they were kind of interested, and they saw me and they said, "Hey, can we walk around and look?" They were not into paranormal. They were not, I mean, they were just basically just curious. So I said, "Sure." I said, "I'll take you guys through." So we walked through, and I took them around the building and um showed them the different areas and stuff, and they were scared. I mean, they were definitely scared. They weren't into paranormal, like I said, and they were just basically curious. So they were like, "Oh, this is creepy. This is a scary place." And so we get up to this floor, and this floor is always, first of all, I'll preface it. This floor is always, it just feels like you're being watched. I don't really know, for lack of a better way to describe it. That's how it feels. It just feels very weird. And so the girls, one of them said, "No way am I going down that hallway. No way, not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm going to stay right here. I'm not doing it." So I had told them, I said, "Well, I was in here and I left a K2 meter on a stand beside that bathtub," which you saw that in the picture. The K2 meter was barely visible, but it was, on a stand beside the bathtub. And I was in there earlier and I said, I forgot a K2 meter. I need to walk back in and get it. If you don't want to come with me, you don't have to, but just don't go running away. Don't go, because I don't want to have to go find them in this huge building, right? So I said, just wait right here. So two of the girls started following me. The one girl was like, heck no, I'm not going down that hallway. I'm staying right here. I said, okay. So we started walking, and then another girl she says, I don't want to go down there. And I said, okay, that's fine. Stand, with your friend, and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Don't run. Don't do anything. Just keep your flashlights on and stand right there. And so then the last girl, she's walking with me, and she's like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm going back with my friends. I said, okay, that's fine. You guys just do not run away. Do not go anywhere. Just stay right there so that I don't have to find you and you don't fall down and get hurt and whatnot. Keep your flashlights on. Just stand right there. I said, I'm going to go in this room and get my K2 meter, and I will be right back out. Well, when I walked into the bathroom, I felt really, it's kind of like that feeling that I was talking about earlier. Like I just felt really dense, and the air felt very thick. It just felt weird. And I thought, I'm always snapping pictures. You can ask Spooky Appalachia. Those guys were with me the other day. And so they know I snap pictures all the time. I'm always doing that for no reason. I'll just be like, hey, this looks cool, whatever. So I was just snapping some pictures, and I walk in, I snapped the pictures, picked up my K2 meter, walked back out, walked down the hall. The girls were there. They were all like, this is terrifying. Let's leave. We want to leave. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll take you out. We will walk to the entrance. Just stay calm, breathe. It's okay. And they said, oh, that was scary. I don't like that. I don't like that. So I said, okay, that's no problem. No problem. We will go out of the building. So we continued to walk out. I walked them out. They said goodbye. They said, thank you. You scared the crap out of us. Whatever. I said, I didn't even do anything. I'm not that scary.
My work here is done.
Right. So I was just like, have a great day. Happy Halloween. I don't know, whatever. Bye-bye. And so I'm tired, at this point, I'm tired. I just took a bunch of pictures of random stuff, probably nothing. Right. So I didn't even look at the photos. I didn't even look at them until the next morning. So, and I stay on site. So I don't stay in the large building, but I stay in a little office, like the office building that we have, which is next to that. And, it's considered one of the sister buildings. So there is, bedrooms and a bathroom and everything upstairs from the office. And that's where I stay when I go. So I went up, got ready, went to bed. Okay. Woke up the next morning and I thought, I'm going to look at some of my stuff, see what I got. Just started looking at pictures because I wanted to post some pictures, for people that just like to see the place. They just like to see it on social media. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to find some pretty pictures to post, and, the outside of the building, whatever. It's going to look creepy for Halloween, whatever. It's going to look cool. So I look through and I get through, and I'm like, I look at the one photo, which I do have the before and after photos, which were like 10 seconds apart. Cause you know how the iPhone timestamps things and whatnot. So I looked at the one picture. There was absolutely nothing. It just looked like the picture of the bathtub. Then I swipe, and the next picture was that. And I'm like, what is that? And then I zoom in on it, and I'm like, okay. So then I swipe, and I see the next picture, and the next picture is absolutely plain, just a plain old bathtub. And I'm like, okay. So I send the picture to a few of my friends with the before and the after picture. So I had before, that, and then the after. And I said, can you please just explain this to me? Because I don't understand this right now. Could you just please? And so all of my skeptical friends are like, what the is that? Where was this? Give me the context. They're all calling me. I'm like, well, here's what happened. And I don't know what that is. And they're like, that's a creepy demon hand. So then we started laughing because we called it the demon hand. I don't know what else to call it. So I said, that's not funny. That's not funny. It's not funny. And so then, of course, they did not think it was funny, because then they all were like, let me see if I can blow it up on my editing software. Let me see if I can figure this out. Are you sure you didn't have anyone with you? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, guys, no, there was nobody. Like, there's nobody with me. And I said, there was 3 college girls who did not come down the hallway, and they definitely weren't large people that have, dark, shadowy looking claw-like weird hands. And so I'm like, I don't know what this is. So I was hoping, because usually people can debunk, and I mean, we got some good people, like they can figure things out, right? So I was like, oh, surely somebody will be able to figure this out for me. This will be great. And no, I still don't know what that actually is.
There are two comments I'll make on it. The first thing is, if you look at the EXIF data on the phone that took this picture, it will tell you if it's been altered in any way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because people will say, oh, we had somebody in chat, it was added after. The EXIF data will tell you if anybody. The second thing, I want to bring the picture up again. My thought right there is that hand is not coming into frame. It's being withdrawn from frame.
Yeah.
Well, you're assuming it's a hand when it could be the tail end of a phantom jellyfish.
Right.
Ah! I kind of like that idea better. Let's go with that.
It's actually leaving the frame, because if you can see the traces on the fingers, it's actually being withdrawn, from the shutter speed of the camera. So that's interesting in and of itself, because obviously if there's nothing there and it's just kind of like, maybe you just got it during bath time or something, and it did just a little, it just a little,
I don't know.
a little shy.
So if you want to make a booking and use a bedpan in a bathtub while you're getting a back scratch from a shadow hand, Sweet Springs Sanitarium is the place you want to be. Certainly check it out. Hang on. We want to introduce you real quick. I got about 30 seconds here, Cindie, to our second hour guest, Mikey Thompson, who, by seeing that photo, now wants to make a booking right here online.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, on the photo, though, on the right-hand side, there was something black that looked like it was leaving the frame.
So the little black thing with a little light, that's my K2 meter. This over here.
On the wall there. See, there's like a little black shadow on the wall too.
Where at?
On the right-hand side there.
3/4 of the way up on the right, kind of a sideways triangle.
Oh, ooh, yeah. Ooh,
I never noticed it was a similar, the similar kind of shade there to the hand. I was so focused on the hand, I didn't see it at first, but it almost looked like something. Maybe that was part of the retraction thing, like you were saying, Ken, like it was started over there and ended up on the, I don't know. It was similar.
Cindy, second question. You see the bathtub illuminated at that point. Where's the sun? In front of you or behind you?
So there's a window. I think matter of fact, if you want to go, Spooky Appalachia just did a video on this, and I took them into that bathroom. So they did extensive, they walked around and showed the whole thing. So the window where I was standing, to the
Cindie,
facing the tub.
Hold that answer right now, and we're going to carry you over into the second. We got to go to break, but we just stirred up a whole bee's nest with this picture. So can you stay with us a little bit longer?
Come help me out.
All right, guys, we got to go to break right now. We'll be back in 3 minutes with our very special guest tonight. So stay with us. You're watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. Stay with us.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you'd like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm gonna take it for the energy. I'm gonna take it for the play. I'm gonna take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a feel the difference money back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
And we are back with breaking news. So now, thanks to Mikey Thompson, who just visited Waverly Hills Sanatorium, he has opened up a new can of worms. And if you're just joining us for the second hour, Mr. DaCosta, if you would please put that photograph back up on screen, because we have an additional shadow to the right.
Okay. Before we went to break, Cindie was explaining where the light is coming in from.
Cindie, where's the light coming in from?
So if you're like this picture, I would be standing at the, the tub here, facing the wall where the spigots and the faucets are. And there's windows behind me. Now, there's also a door to the left where this hand is, which is super creepy because the door goes out into the hallway. Now, because the door was open and the hallway was just, the regular hallway, across from that is another room, which also the door was open and there is a window in that room. So it is possible that there is some light coming through the doorway, but it's not as likely. But there's definitely windows behind me as I'm taking this photo. So I am kind of in the shadowy part here when you're looking at it. I do have a video of this entire bathroom, like walking in and around and out, on my TikTok. And then also I believe I have it on YouTube and Facebook. And then Spooky Appalachia guys were just there last Saturday and they took a pretty good video of the bathroom as well. So if anybody's curious as to like the placements of the the windows and what they look like, you can get a good idea from it.
Okay, and we'll put the TikTok up there at the bottom of your screen if you want to check out the video. So maybe you get a little bit better layout of the room. To me, it might explain that little shadow you have off. I mean, that could be, I don't know, but it could be a toilet paper roll that's
there's no toilet paper in there, but I mean, I would like it to be something like that.
Right.
That would be great.
Mean, obviously, pretty bizarre photos. So yeah, check it out on TikTok and leave Cindie a message in there. Tell her what you think.
It's just interesting because it's the same shade as the hand. You know what I mean? In the arm, because like So maybe initially when I saw that picture, I'm like, oh, there's something in there. And now I'm like, oh, there's some things in there maybe. Or
now I'm really creeped out. It was bad enough having one big hand, let alone something else.
Yeah, I mean, we assume it's a shadow or it's not, right?
Yeah. And we've talked before, Ken, about seeing something dark in the dark. Even if you look at the shadow underneath the arm, you can see how it's dark there, the way the light's hitting underneath the arm on that picture. It's just like regular shadows, but then the arm stands out, like seeing something dark in the dark. And it's kind of that whatever that on the other side was, it didn't seem like or look like a normal shadow, but
Well, that's what's so weird about the picture is that, right where that hand is coming across, there's literally a doorway that could very possibly have some light coming through it from the hallway and from, the other room. But the hand is so dark. Like it's just so dark. Like, it looks like literally something is like in the middle of the two. Like, I don't know. It's just very weird.
Yeah.
Well, for tonight, we'll
have no other explanation.
Label this unsolved.
For the moment, until Mikey gets a chance to go there. Now he's all the way on the west coast of the United States, so for him to take that trek over, it's got to be worth it. And I think that picture is 1,000 opportunities for Mikey to get in there. That's awesome.
I'd love.
Yeah, Mikey, you can come and be my guest. Come and be my guest.
I'm ready. I'm actually in Kentucky right now, working in Louisville. So I'm only like 5-6 hours away. I mean, a little hop, skip, and a jump.
From there, you'd be about 6 hours, I'd say.
Okay, don't threaten me with a good time.
Cindie is dressed for West Virginia. You look woefully underdressed for Kentucky.
It is a little bit chilly, but it's not bad. I'm from California. I'm never,
the exposure is going to be too much for you. But again, here's a neat opportunity, a neat location, and another one to mark off that bucket list now, because this place is certainly active. From the videos we've seen, as dramatic as they may be, they certainly do show that there is a constant barrage of different things to experience when you're there. So I got the invitation from Cindie, and I said, if ever, I'm on my way without question. Cindie,
you have a standing invitation.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and let's not make it the last time. We'd love to have you back again, and any upcoming things that are going to be going on. Is there contact information you want to shout out to everybody who would love to come up and visit this incredible location?
So just email me at sweetspringssanitarium@gmail.com and get in touch with me. That'd be great. I'll get something set up for you. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And don't forget to come see me at the Grafton Monster Festival in June. I sent you the links for that. Yeah.
Yes, and we'll definitely put that out there on our pages as well, so everybody get a chance that's in that area, that region, to have some fun and say hello to Cindie. Cindie, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you back here with us soon.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all. Have a good night. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, same to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of those that unless you drink, which I don't anymore, then you just completely forget about it. It's St. Patty's Day. Ken, we don't do this very often to do the intro for a guest when they're already on screen. So I'm going to take Mikey off and do the intro. Ken, you ready?
Okay, drum roll, please. Here we go.
All right.
Mikey Thompson is a registered nurse by profession. His obsession with the paranormal started in the fall of 2002 after he found his 16-month-old daughter floating face down and lifeless in the deep end of the family pool. Happy to say she survived this tragedy after being declared clinically dead for approximately 26 minutes. However, shortly after she returned home from the hospital, Mikey and his family's paranormal nightmare began. Their story has been featured in an episode of Travel Channel's Haunted Hospitals. Mikey's investigated locations like Here We Go, the Queen Mary, Calico Ghost Towns, Maggie Mine, Winchester Mystery Mansion, Glen Tavern Inn, Old Paulding Jail, Colonel Allensworth Park, the Washoe Club, and McKay Mansion in Virginia City, Nevada. He is the founder of the Southern California or SoCal, as the cool people call it, Apparition Research Society, and a specialty in ITC skills. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen, because Mikey has graced us with some great evidence from a location in Michigan, and we're going to analyze some EVPs as well as some clips from Waverly Hills Sanatorium. So without further ado, let's welcome back for the second time this evening, a first on Dead Air, Mikey Thompson.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Make it all official, you know.
Yeah, right.
Everything needs to be done.
That was the greatest intro I've ever had in my life. Thank you.
Well, we do our best here, but yeah. So let's continue on our conversation. Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yeah, that was a huge bucket list check off for me. I fell in love with Waverly back in the early 2000s when I first saw these guys on TV going, and I don't know what it was about that place. I guess some people have, they're just drawn to certain places, and Waverly was it for me. So when I saw this job pop up in Kentucky, I said, I'm only 8.5 miles from Waverly. Yeah, I'll do it. And I was fortunate enough last night to be able to get in there finally and be part of a group investigation. So it was everything I'd hoped and dreamed.
Let me understand it. Am I confusing this now? Are you still California based, or did you move to Kentucky?
No, I'm working as a travel nurse right now. So
okay.
Yeah, my home is still in California. I took a travel job in Central California, and then I went to Dallas, Texas, and now I'm in Kentucky. So I'm just kind of bouncing around. I thought, what a great way to, work and then go to places that have all kinds of, fun paranormal type activities. Or what did you call it earlier, Ken? When I'm on
an investigation.
I'm on an investigation.
Basically, what Mikey's doing is he's just riding the railroad cars. He jumps in at certain depots, and wherever the end of the line is, he ends up there, and walks
and I bring my gear.
Anybody seen a ghost?
So bring my gear just in case.
Right.
Wow. How long are these stints? Do you know? Or is it a constant rotation or is it to your choosing? Like the next one they say is, as where Cindie originated from, you're going to go to Hawaii and be a nurse over there. How does that all work out? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, you sign up with an agency that has the inn at different facilities. But if I wanted to go to Hawaii now, actually, I could. There's a few hospitals in Hawaii that need nurses, so I would sign up with that agency, and then it depends on what the need of the hospital is. So most contracts, or average, I guess, are like 13 weeks, but every facility I've been at, I've extended. So I've done like 6 months, and I may have the opportunity to do that here. I'm not sure. It just depends on, usually when you come in as a traveler, there's something going on staffing wise, or they're trying to open up a new program and they need help getting it underway and things like that. And once those things are resolved, then they move on past you, you're there for a need. But I've been fortunate to have been welcomed back everywhere I've been. So, but yeah, I do have a lot of freedom in choosing where I want to go. And then it just depends on some contracts pay more than others. And you really do have a lot of freedom. So
you're at a hub where you're at right now. You could just branch out in so many different directions, so many different locations, and time off. Do they give you multiple days at a time? I know, because your shifts is probably 12-hour shifts.
Yeah, well, that's actually the perk of this facility that I'm at now, because they do have 12-hour shifts. So I can oftentimes request a long weekend and go do, I work and then I go play. So next month I'm going to be in Tombstone for 5 days, and I'm going to be in New York, and next week I'm going to be in Missouri for a 3-day stint with the Spirit Room. I'm going to tag along with them and follow them along, learn from them. So I kind of plan my investigations, around plan the time off if I can. You ask for, request certain days off, and most of the people are pretty good about swapping days with you. Hey, can you work this weekend? I'll work your next weekend. So I haven't had any issues, and I've been very fortunate to be in that position at this location. So I just love it out here.
Excellent.
I know we want to talk about the recent trip, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and I was there on one occasion, several years back, quite a few years back. Immense building, immense history, and again, we talked about the weather earlier, how that can be a factor. But I was going to turn this over to Ken because I know you sent some great experiences from your trip there. So, Mr. DeCosta.
Yes, sir. Mikey, let's back up a little bit chronologically. Let's start with the Fire Museum in Michigan.
Yes.
Give us the Cliff Notes version of what we're talking about here, and then we're going to get into a couple of clips, and one that I found fascinating enough to run an analysis on. But how'd you wind up there, and what is that place all about?
Well, last weekend there was an event in Ann Arbor, Potograph's Parafest 5. There's a guy named Tim that puts this on. All the money goes to help animals. He lost a dog named Murray, and he's kind of the focus of this. But there were a lot of celebrity.
Tim Miley,
mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Mealy.
Mealy, yeah. He brought a lot of celebrities in, and people that I had seen before and wanted to see again. And so I drove up there for that event. Specifically, but you can't be in Michigan and never ghost hunted and not try to ghost hunt, right? So I found online the Michigan Firehouse Museum in Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Right,
is the name of the town. It's about 10 miles outside of Ann Arbor or so. And I called them up last minute, and I was like, "Hey, I'm in town for an event. I saw that you've had investigations there before. Do you guys still do this?" He's like, "Let me see if I can get somebody. Call me tomorrow." So I called back the next day, and he's all, "Yeah, I got it lined up if you're good to go." So I said, "Give me 2 hours. That's all I can squeeze in, but it's better than nothing." And he said, "Yeah, sure." So I set it up, and a friend of mine from our Scotland trip a couple years back, Kelly Hamilton, hit me up. She's all, "Hey, you're in town, I said, "Yeah, I'm going to go over here and check this place out." She's like, "Oh, I'm only 45 minutes away." And I said, "Well, come on, girl." And she brought her friend, Cindie Harper. They're part of a team, the Detroit Rock City Paranormal. And so the two of them just kind of came last minute to do this with me. But it's a great little, it's a beautiful fire museum. It's got so many vehicles in there. It was built in the 1890s, 1898. Ironically, there were two fires in the facility, one in 1901 and one in 1922 that did some damage. And the damage but the damage is still there up in the original part of the building. So, and there's been a lot of things that have happened with that type of line of work, that first responder type stuff. But so he let us in. Again, I only had 2 hours. So the first half hour was just setting up. But in that 2 hours, we had a pretty great experience, a few experiences in different areas. The curator of the place, Dave Engler, he's ex-military, ex-law enforcement. So, but he's been amazing. So him being a cop, he's kind of a skeptic anyway, but he really is interested in bringing the paranormal to the museum because they've had experiences there. There's a lot of equipment there that's old, and they want people to invite people to come in and do investigations. They're out, or just come see the fire trucks and explore the museum. It's a beautiful place. But we kind of timed it to where we were trying to do like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And it's amazing how you can be in a location and feel like you're not going to get anything or do anything because you don't have time, but then have one of the best experiences, investigating. And then you can go spend 8 hours somewhere and get nothing. Like, you just never know. That's why you go.
if they're going to reach out, they're going to communicate. They're going to communicate. I've told everybody the same thing a million times, Mikey. You do not have to spend 90 minutes in a room,
right?
And just wear them down.
Yeah. And I was sharing stuff that I thought when it was questionable with Dave, the curator there and the director, and he's putting the police side into it and helping me go through some. Actually, he was looking back at the timestamps on the security cameras they have, and there was one in the lower part of the building. There's a children's display. They have like Dalmatians and things, and I had a camera pointing at the display, and it looked like something blocked out the light. But he actually went back and looked at the timestamps on the security camera. It turned out that they were motion sensitive lights, and when we had set up and left the room, after that certain amount of time, the light just went out.
Right.
But it was long. It was far enough away to where it looked like something may have blocked it out. But anyway, he's been very, very helpful with me with this. And then, of course, I ran into an audio concern. And who do I call when I'm having questionable audio things? Ken DaCosta. So you're kind of my go-to guy. You've got a lot of experience with this, and I appreciate all your input.
Honored that you call. Really do, because I love talking this type of thing. So let's play a clip. Let's get this ball going. So this is at the Fire Museum, and this is a session upstairs. So we'll get the ball rolling with this, and then we'll get into the weeds a little bit. But this is something that Mikey sent me, and we want you all to take a look and listen at it.
This little booger gets heavy. There's a lot happening here.
Okay, I'll play it again because we're moving around a little bit at the time, and this whispered voice is going to make a whole lot of sense in about 20 more seconds, so we'll play it one more time.
This little booger gets heavy. There's a lot happening here.
So the second time around, maybe you heard that. So what happened here?
Yeah.
So you are no doubt in an attic area, because I see the vents and the HVAC. So now this next clip is the one we're going to dig into here, because I'm not sure what it is about what happened here. Maybe they're talking about that fire or whatever, but let's take a listen to this, and we'll dig into it on the way back.
So you saw his sign, Regent?
Let me switch hands, sorry. This little booger gets heavy. There's a lot happening here.
We'll play it one more time. That is much more pronounced. Again.
So you saw his sign, Regent?
Let me switch hands, sorry. This little booger gets heavy. There's a lot happening here.
So, Mikey, what happened there?
Well, so this is the full spectrum audio audio on the camera is not as good as the Sony. So when I first heard it, it was on the full spectrum, and I thought I caught a great EVP. So what's happening here, and it made sense because it's on fire. Like if somebody was up there going, "What is going on? Why is our fire station on fire?" But so I had all these thoughts, but then I thought, let me see if I caught it on any other audio. I had my Zoom going and my Sony going. So like you said, when you play it on the Sony, it sounds like still like what's happening here, or there's a lot happening here, or something. It sounds different. It sounds a little clearer. But my main concern was, and I almost tossed this, and because I sent it to Dave over at the Firehouse Museum and got his thoughts. He said, "Yeah, we might have to toss that because it wasn't one of the girls whispering, but it may have been you." And then the only reason I didn't is because if you listen to it again, I say I'm shifting the gear because it's heavy, and I sigh. I'm like, "This is heavy." And at the end of it is when I hear it, and then you hear me breathe again at the end of the clip. So I'm like, was it me? And then I started thinking about this whole doppelganger phenomenon, and you mentioned the mimic thing. And I know that that's a thing that's happened on investigations before, but I don't have a lot of experience with it. So instead of throwing it out, I thought, let me send it to you and get your opinion on it. And we'll go from there. If it's trash, it's trash, and I move on. But if not, then what's happening here?
Well, one of the things that we worked on here to figure out if it was just something that should be, passed over. And a few people said they hear a lot happening here. So, if I mislabeled that, that's my fault, because I wanted to make sure that everybody knew what they were listening to. I have a program here called the WASP program. It's voice analysis, basically, where everybody in the room leaves a signature. That was a recorder we first heard, right? You were playing back a recorder?
No, the very first one with the full spectrum was the audio from this full spectrum camera.
No, I mean this one right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
So you saw his sign, Regent?
Let me switch hands. Sorry. This little booger gets heavy. There's a lot happening here.
So yeah, correct. At the very beginning, I was playing back the recorder. Okay. Yep.
So you'll see that this has a signature for that, and it has a signature down lower for Mikey's voice. And then something really unusual happens when that whisper comes in. So let me play that for you right now.
So you saw his sign, Regent?
Let me switch hands. Sorry. This little booger gets heavy. There's a lot happening here.
So you notice those red marks. That's a signature. When Mikey talks, it's down here. When the recorder at the beginning, it's up here. Woman's voice, very tinny. In that part where the whisper comes across, there's absolutely nothing on the spectrogram. So that means, number one, it's in a low frequency. If there was a sound there, then you could say disembodied voice or perhaps somebody else in the room. If that's the case, move on. But there's absolutely nothing in that range. So one more time, just so you know what we're talking about, pay close attention to the red marks at the bottom and you'll see the different voice signatures.
So you saw his sign, Regent?
Let me switch hands. Sorry. This little booger gets heavy. There's a lot happening here.
And this is what I sent back to Mikey.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what we're talking about. Down below, you can see a deeper male voice. Those marks, those little chit marks up top are just maybe shoes scraping on the floor or the camera being moved around, a little click here and there. But during the part where the voice comes in, there is no signature there. And it's an extremely low range. The loudest at the beginning, you see the darker marks. And then when Mikey talks, midway through, a little bit darker, and then that at the bottom. So that's pretty much how we figure out, if it's something that, is worth pursuing or you have something. So it was a great catch, Mikey. It really was.
Thanks. I still trying to wrap my head around it because I've heard so many different types of EVPs, and that one just, again, I was going to throw it out, but something told me to send it to you and ask you, and I don't know why, but I think this is a great point for people that are investigating, whether you're new or been doing it for a while. If you think you have something, ask around and don't be embarrassed. If you'd have told me now this was you 100%, I'm like, okay, thanks for putting the work into it and giving me that, because I'm not going to submit something to somebody that is me. But I think it's important to go to that level and put the time into it like you do to try to find an answer for it and to be able to give the person or wherever you're doing the investigation for some real answers. But
it's absolutely worth putting in the work and having nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Because eventually what happens if people know that you go through these steps and you put something out there, they can take issue with it. They're welcome to do that. But they will know that you've already asked all the questions. Was this us? Was it in another room? Was it, so if you put something out there, it's because you legitimately believe you have something. So anyway, I don't want to get too techie about this. I want to move on to Waverly, because this is a place I've never been to. George has, so if George wants to rejoin us here and you guys can chat about this. I think what I'd like to do first is, why don't I show these pictures in sequence?
Okay.
And you can tell us, I'm assuming these were snapped up. Okay. Tell us what we're looking at here, Mikey.
This is
the roof.
Yes, this is the rooftop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Second snap.
This is the 5th floor still. We're not out on the roof, but that is 502. And well, you are looking out onto the roof from there. I'm sorry. Yes, through the doorway there. But there seems to be something in the doorway, a little white something there.
Okay, I'll show the third one.
And then it's just gone.
Okay, back.
Yeah.
It's like the Zapruder film here. Back.
So I did the whole snap 3 in a row, and I'm holding I'm using a Bell and Howell Slim, they call it. It's a point and shoot, but it has an IR built into it. So you've got to stand there and hold it, or else, but I like that little camera. That's the one that I caught the little Jackie at the pool, same camera. But so I just thought that was, now it is facing outside. We are looking outside, so it's very possible that a bird or bat or something flew right through at that same time. But I didn't hear anything fluttering in the room or anything. I know that earlier there were a couple of guys down on the 4th floor, and they had gone into a room and a bird was perched above the door and like flew down and out when they walked in. They startled it and it scared the hell out of them. But I didn't hear anything. I was just point, shoot. But again, I'm not calling it paranormal. I just thought I saw it in the sequence. And I thought, that was interesting, because it looks like you see that white streak, but then there's something above it too, almost like it has a trail. Like you know what I'm saying?
All right. So my question to you would be: is it something physical, or do you think it's like a light anomaly, maybe?
Well, that's a great point, because Waverly has a history for light anomaly type things. I learned most of it's down in the death chute, in the death tunnel, is where they have these self-illuminating lights that are seen. But again, I would say I'm up on the roof. I could have caught a falling star for all we know, or something. You know what I mean? I can't say that it's truly paranormal, but I was shooting right through where the Nurse Mary had hung herself, in that right there in front of 502, and little Timmy fell off the roof chasing a ball. So there was, so at the same time, if that's why I was pointing in that direction and taking pictures in the first place, to see if something showed up, then why wouldn't I call that paranormal? But again, I feel like at least I had the 3 in a row, so you can see the immediate after. There's nothing there. Again, could it have been something from outside? Sure. No matter, like you said, no matter what we threw up there.
In context to what happened there, it's a legitimate question to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing photo saturation. That's rule number 1. That's the best way that you can, as you possibly capture in multiple frames, you have the justification of before and after. So exquisite that you're doing that. That being said, Waverly Hills is a contamination nightmare. because of the amount of exposure to the elements. I mean, I would imagine still, it's been almost a decade or so since I've been there, that there is still nothing but wooded area surrounding. So you're dealing with all kinds of animal elements, nature elements, all going on at the same time. And it's not just necessarily for photography or videography, but also when you're running recorders, as you talked about, you can hear the wind in the background when you're doing that, which adds to it that much more that when you are at a place such as this, where there's so many elements interfering, something substantial comes through, such as a whisper, like what is happening here, coming through at a location like Waverly. You can't ignore something that is going to be that profound. But all the other little things that go on along the way are off in the distance, including animals that are outside the window, but it sounds like it's inside. You have to kind of just throw it out. Had happened to me at Penhurst Asylum. I think it was the mating call for foxes, and it sounds like a baby screaming. So so you've got to take that into consideration. But it's just that one moment, as you know, it just happens to go through all that evidence review, and that one thing just gives it all justification for what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can't not take pictures when you're up there anyway, right? No matter what you gotta do it. So, I mean, whatever. I was excited to have something to even question, you know. So,
well, this is I'm anxious to get into this video. It's about 2.5 minutes long, and before I do, Mikey, why don't you go ahead and set this up, because there's a few levels and elements to it. This is in the morgue at Waverly Hills.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so again, I was on a group investigation there. We had split up into 2 groups. So we had taken turns, and it was our turn downstairs. And of course, everybody ran to the death chute. That's the main one down there. And I had made my way. Now, I was there by myself. I wasn't with anyone other than being assigned to the group, but I was kind of just exploring on my own. We were able to break off and do what we wanted. So I'd been walking around, and I made my ways down to the tunnels. And one of the guides had said, there's a lot of people down there. You might want to wait till they come up. That way you can go down there and be in the dark and, you know, do your thing without the contamination, stuff like that. And I said, okay. And as he was saying that, another group of people were walking in. So I said, yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm going to go to the morgue. I haven't been to the morgue yet. So I made my way down there. It got lost along the way. If you've never been in Waverly and navigated it, it's 187,000 square feet of, you know, and one time around isn't enough. So, and you're in the dark. And
it's a maze. It's an absolute maze.
But as I'm walking, and I've got all the video. So of me having that conversation in the death tunnels, from me leaving the death tunnels, walking, getting turned around, whatever, and finding my way to the morgue. There's nobody in. Then the last people that came into the death chute, it's just me in the hallways by myself. Nobody else on camera, nothing like that. When I finally made my way into the morgue, I was the only person in the morgue. And as a matter of fact, it took a while for people to finally file out of the tunnels for me to grab a hold of somebody, but and ask questions. But I really went in there because I wanted to lay down in the fridge. You know, I wanted to get on the tray and slide myself in there and, you know, take pictures. I wanted to do that, and I didn't. I ended up getting distracted. So,
all right. So we'll play this clip. It's about 2.5 minutes long. I watched it today, and it is very curious. And on the back end, if anybody in chat has questions or comments, Mikey will run it down for us. But here we go, folks.
What? 2 minutes. 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 2 min
What? How long is that? What the hell? Look at this. Nobody in there. That's hot. Again. What? Stop calibrating. Come on. Check this out, bro. This is a trip. Look at the bottom drawer on the thermal. It looks like a body in there. Why do I have heat in there? Doesn't it look like legs or something? Like a body?
Nice.
Okay, let's break that down.
Let's break it down. Okay, so for everybody in chat and watching, yes, the first thing I thought when I went in there and saw that was who was in here, right? So I started thinking about before me. So I started thinking about back to the interaction I had with the group that came into the death tunnels, which it's a little hike, by the way, back and forth to there. But so I'm trying to now I'm doing math and science. I'm trying to figure out how long after someone is lying in there will I see a heat signature. How long does a person have to be lying in there to have a heat signature last that long? Like, I'm doing all these numbers trying to figure this out. What blew me away was I stood there for about over a half hour recording this. At some point it starts to dissipate, as it should. I'm like, okay, the heat's leaving. I mean, how long is it going to hang out? That's fine. But then it comes back. The heat signature starts to show the outline of the body again in the red. And I that part is where I lost, like, okay, everything that I was thinking before that made sense in my life and the paranormal kind of went out the window. I'm like, I get it if there's a heat signature there and somebody from the other group had been laying in there and it's still there somehow after all this time they've been walking around. It's not, like you said, George, there's breezes blowing in. It's not, there's no reason for it to remain that way, but right. for it to start to fade out and then come back, that part I don't get. And I did, had a conversation. I showed the video to the guy that was with us that night, and he said, in his experience doing this, there's a little of a spirit of a young boy that he calls a Daniel that they've had multiple interactions with that hangs around down there. To him, that was a child's size body in the morgue, not an adult. And there were 0 children on this tour. So he felt like when he saw that, first thing he thought it was Daniel. I did talk to a couple of people from the group that I passed at the end of the night, coming in the tunnel. I said, hey guys, did you happen to be in the morgue before you came to the tunnels? And they said, yeah, we were down there. And I said, were you laying in the thing? He said, yeah, we did. I said, okay. I said, because he goes, why, did you catch something? I said, yeah. And I showed him and the person he was with, and he's like, that's insane. He goes, honestly, we left there and we dillied and dallied a little bit before we came to the tunnels. And I said, and I have video of me walking from the tunnels to the morgue with nobody else. Nobody came out of that room. So there wasn't anybody that went in after them. And you know what I mean? Even if there was, I would have seen him come out, and it still would have been a little bit of time for that to dissipate, I think. But that one to me is just, it gets me because I don't understand. I've never seen that to where, I mean, we've seen shows where there's heat signatures on the wall that, you know, and they just show up or plenty of different examples. But for me, I have never seen it go away. And I was kind of like, okay, that makes sense. But when it came back, I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense again. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
A quick question is, go ahead. I was going to say a rule of thumb for that is a heat signature will last corresponding to the amount of minutes spent.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it'll last a minute, 2 minutes if you're in contact, somewhere along those lines. So you can do the math on that.
Okay.
Sorry,
so that's a good rule of thumb.
Well, the second question to that is, when you were in, what was the ambient temperature of the room or the night?
It was below 60. I think it was in the 50s in that particular area, but it had been 58, 52 to 58, depending on where I was and how much was blowing in and things like that. But I think in the morgue that night, it was in mid 50s.
So, Ken, I leave it to your analytical mind as far as the return of the heat signature. That if, in fact, somebody laid there for 30 minutes, so it took 30 minutes for it to dissipate, but then to come back again, is that a common occurrence? To my knowledge, it's not.
No, because eventually the surface will take on the ambient temperature.
Correct.
So if we're looking at, and this is not a hard and fast rule, but 1 minute that it will last according to how many, like if I'm laying on it for 15 minutes, I'm transferring a lot of heat. So depending on the ambient temperature, obviously if it's colder, it's not going to be as long. But if we're looking at 45 for 20 minutes, for it to go away, eventually whatever the ambient temperature is will cool that surface off. For it to reappear, that's not normal.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's not retaining any heat. Because the table is what? Metal, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. That was like a particle board that they had laid down on the on the tracks. It was actually wood, some type of particle board, I think.
Okay, so it might, because it's a bit more porous, it may hold heat longer.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's not going to go away and then come back again.
Yeah, and I didn't send you the entire thing because I knew we have an hour. It's about an hour long to watch the whole thing go and come back. But I do have it. If you ever want me to send it to you, you can, for more analysis. But yeah, I just that was a first for me in 22 years of doing this, and I'm so happy it was at Waverly because I've always wanted to go to Waverly and have an experience there.
Did you by any chance correspond that during that 30 minutes with an EVP session? Mind you, I expect that you had a recorder running, but seeing that, did you try to communicate with that?
I did have the recorder going, and I was shell shocked. But so what I ended up doing was I put a REM pod in there, and then I said, "No, let me take that guy." I put it on top, on the one above it, and I was asking questions, and then the REM was going off. I had a few responses with the REM pod. I figured that would be better than to try to get an EVP in that environment with other people talking if they were coming down the hall and the wind and the noise. But I always have a Zoom recorder going. I haven't even gotten into that yet because this was literally last night. So I'm curious to see, George, if I got any responses on audio as well. But to me, having to rule, I might be hitting you up again, Ken, to try and rule stuff out again because of the contamination that was there, between the other people and stuff. But having a REM pod in there where there's no power in the morgue and then that experience, I'm like, and getting the hits off of that, I felt better about it being something paranormal going on there.
No, that's perfect then, because we like next week we've got bookings going on. The Kling brothers are coming up here soon. We certainly we would love to revisit once you've had a chance to do full review and get into this topic again. Maybe even somebody else that was there with you, that shared experience. Yeah, I got excited for a second while you were showing the video, and I hear a voice, and I'm like, EVP. And then you're talking to the person like somebody was just coming in that was there prior to you laying inside there. So what do you think about that? Coming back with us with more of the evidence from this visit.
Oh yeah, I would love to. I've got, tons to dive into, but I'm going to get on it this week. So yeah, let me know. I'd love to get some other opinions and just, chat it up about it and see what others think. And if I can find something else, I mean, that's icing on the cake too, but.
Yeah, I know you're going to be discriminating in terms of your evidence because you're there with a big group. So I know that you are the type to say, that could easily be somebody. In this particular case, what I love about it is, you decided to isolate yourself, break off from the herd, and investigate a really, I hate to use the word creepy, but not that was the draw, but a place where there was a lot of potential residual emotion.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because the guy that I had asked in the tunnels if he'd been in there when we were leaving, he said, do you do this for a living? I said, no, it's just like a hobby and stuff. I said, why? He goes, whoever he was with, he goes, when we went up to the 5th floor, we noticed as soon as I came in, I see you up there with your equipment and stuff, but you're the only one up there, man. You were up there by yourself on the roof and that whole, and I said, yeah. And he goes, man, you got balls of steel to be up there by yourself like that. He goes, and he was a big guy too, but I don't think about it. I guess it's so, I'm trying to keep that balance that we always talk about, don't get caught up in the equipment, right? Don't get caught up in the equipment, but at the same time, I need equipment. So what I try to do is come up with a plan of where I want to go and how I want to investigate that area. And I focus on what I'm going to set up. Then when I get there and I get everything laid out, then I go back into the building, which horrified me when I was at the bottom of the death tunnel, by the way. That was like, I finally made my way into the death tunnel and I walked all the way to 625 feet, whatever it is down there with all my gear. And I was fine setting everything up. And then the second I stopped and looked up into that darkness and heard all of the things, I said, oh boy, I'm trapped down here. If something comes bull rushing me, I'm screwed. But
was the gate locked at the bottom?
I didn't even, there's a door there and then it was covered with plastic and stuff. So I didn't
really,
I don't know if it was, I mean, I'm assuming they have that as an emergency exit or something, but I didn't check it. It was
like a chain link fence gate at the bottom that was closed off, locked off, but it's like a giant megaphone. Anything down at the bottom to be heard would echo all the way up that chute.
And very interesting that you mentioned that, because you're in a concrete cylinder down there, right? So I was trying to do some EVP sessions, and as I was playing it back, of course, I thought I heard something, a response to my question. But I think what I realized is the response to my question was actually the echo that had made it up to the end of the tunnel that my recorder had captured, because the echo was that strong and it was, 600 plus feet to travel. And I had the recorder going long enough to ask the question and record my own answer on the other side of the tunnel. It was trippy. It was fascinating. But
Bill's got to sign us off. Do we want to continue, or do we want to close out at this time and save it for Mikey's next visit with us?
I think we could probably close out, because I want definitely him to get into the death tunnel and all. I as far as that goes, I may be able to help you with that program wise, Mikey.
Okay.
Mikey, stay with us. Don't hang up on your end. Bill, thank you so much for being patient with us. Guys, that does it for us tonight. We'll see you again next week. We've got some great guests, great shows. Check out our Patreon account. Love to see you as a new member. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourself and have a good week. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Thank you, guys.